as night falls and the world outside grows quiet, imagine yourself sinking into the comfort of your bed, wrapped in warmth, with the gentle hum of the evening wrapping around you like a soft blanket. There is a certain stillness that comes with nighttime, a pause in the rush of everyday life. And within that stillness lies the perfect space for curiosity to flourish. Tonight, we're going to take a journey together. A journey into the unknown, into stories that exist on the edge of our understanding, where the sky above holds mysteries that have puzzled humanity for decades. These are not ordinary stories. They are not the fleeting tales whispered in passing or sensationalized accounts spun for headlines. They are true encounters, reported by people just like you and me, people who found themselves face to face with phenomena that defy simple explanation. The fascination with the unknown is not a modern invention. Humans have always looked to the skies with wonder, asking questions about the stars, the movement of celestial bodies, and the possibility of beings beyond our world. From ancient cave paintings depicting strange figures descending from the heavens to medieval chronicles describing unusual lights in the night sky, there's a long and rich history of curiosity and fear intertwined. Scientists, historians, and psychologists alike have noted that our attraction to the unknown comes from deep within us. It is a mix of awe and caution, a desire to understand the incomprehensible while being simultaneously drawn to its thrill. Tonight, we will explore 5 accounts of alien encounters that have been documented, studied, and debated. But we will do so slowly, gently, allowing the details to unfold in a way that is as calming as it is compelling. Before we begin the stories themselves, it is important to understand why these encounters are so intriguing. When someone reports seeing something that does not fit within the framework of everyday reality, it challenges the way we perceive the world. Eyewitnesses often describe feelings of disbelief, confusion, and sometimes fear, but there is also a recurring theme of wonder, a sense that they have glimpsed something larger than themselves, something that exists just beyond the limits of human comprehension. Researchers have studied these accounts not only to investigate their factual accuracy, but also to understand the psychological experience of encountering the unknown. Some suggest that environmental conditions, psychological states, or even cultural expectations can influence the perception of unusual phenomena, while others maintain that these encounters point to something genuinely unexplained. The truth may lie somewhere in between, a blend of human perception and mystery waiting patiently to be discovered. Tonight, as we move through these stories, I encourage you to allow yourself to drift along with the narrative. Feel the quietness of the night, notice the rhythm of your own breathing, and imagine the world outside your window. Soft shadows cast by the moon, distant stars twinkling like tiny lanterns scattered across the black canvas of the sky. In this tranquil setting, even the most unsettling reports take on a different quality. The fear that might be present in daylight becomes a gentle curiosity, a thread of intrigue that draws us deeper into the story. It is within this calm, receptive state that we are most open to truly experiencing the accounts of those who have encountered the unknown. As we explore these 5 cases, you will notice that each one carries its own distinct atmosphere, setting, and emotional weight. Some take place in rural landscapes, where the silence of the countryside amplifies every sound and shadow. Others unfold in the heart of urban spaces, where the juxtaposition of ordinary life and the extraordinary creates an uncanny sense of dislocation. Across all of these experiences, there is a common thread, a moment when the ordinary world is interrupted by something beyond comprehension, a fleeting glimpse into a reality that feels both distant and intimately close. Scholars have long debated why these encounters are so vivid in the memories of those who experience them. Some argue that high-stress moments, unusual visual stimuli, and even the subconscious mind can combine to create experiences that feel entirely real, while others point to patterns across decades of sightings that suggest a consistency that cannot be easily dismissed. It is also important to acknowledge the role of society in shaping these experiences. The media, popular culture, and even government narratives all contribute to the way we interpret what we see in the sky. Newspapers in the late 1940s reported flying saucers with both sensational alarm and cautious skepticism, influencing how ordinary citizens perceived their own experiences. Television shows and films in the decades that followed introduced images of alien beings and spaceships that became embedded in the collective imagination. Today, the internet allows eyewitnesses to share their accounts instantly, sparking discussion, analysis, and debate in ways that were unimaginable 50 years ago. Yet despite these layers of interpretation, the core of each encounter, the personal, often unsettling experience of seeing something beyond our understanding, remains compelling and deeply human. Tonight's stories are not meant to frighten. They are meant to be experienced slowly, with attention to the details that make each encounter so vivid and unique. Imagine the hum of an unknown craft in the sky, the way a light moves in ways that defy explanation, or the sense of being watched by something intelligent and unseen. Picture the emotional landscape of the eyewitness, the initial disbelief, the sudden surge of fear, the cautious curiosity, and finally, the lingering wonder that remains long after the experience has ended. We will explore each story with care, examining official reports when available, comparing eyewitness accounts, and discussing the broader context that makes these encounters so fascinating to researchers, historians, and enthusiasts alike. As you listen, allow yourself to sink deeper into the rhythm of the narration. Let each pause, each subtle description, guide your mind into a state of calm alertness, where curiosity and relaxation coexist. These stories are doors into the unknown, but they are also opportunities for contemplation, for thinking about the vastness of the universe, and for reflecting on the ways in which the unexplained challenges and expands our understanding of reality. Perhaps, as you drift into sleep, you will carry with you a sense of wonder, a gentle curiosity about the mysteries that surround us, both in the night sky and within the world around you. By the end of this journey, you may not have all the answers, and that is perfectly all right. The beauty of these encounters lies not in definitive conclusions, but in the space they create for imagination, reflection, and awe. So tonight, let yourself be carried along the gentle current of these stories, guided by calm narration, immersive details, and a deep respect for the unknown. The sky above holds secrets that have fascinated humanity for generations, and tonight, for a few hours, we will join those who dared to look upward and see something extraordinary. Let the world fade into quiet around you, let your body relax, and let your mind wander gently into the realm of mystery. Long before the modern fascination with UFOs and extraterrestrial life, people across cultures have looked to the skies and wondered about what might exist beyond our world. Stories of strange lights, mysterious flying objects, and otherworldly beings appear in records that span centuries and continents. Ancient texts from Mesopotamia describe chariots of the gods that moved through the heavens, while medieval chronicles in Europe recount mysterious lights over villages and castles, often interpreted as divine or ominous signs. Even in isolated tribal societies, oral traditions include tales of beings arriving from the sky, interacting with humans in ways that remain mysterious to this day. These historical narratives suggest that humanity has always been drawn to the unknown, attempting to explain phenomena that cannot easily be reconciled with ordinary experience. As night falls tonight, imagine the generations of people who have stared upward, perhaps sensing something beyond the familiar constellations, and feeling a similar mixture of curiosity, awe, and unease. The modern era of alien encounters, however, truly begins in the mid-20th century, when the world entered a new phase of technological progress and global communication. In 1947, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 crescent-shaped objects moving at incredible speeds over the mountains of Washington state. His description, which he compared to saucers skipping across water, captured the imagination of the public and gave rise to the now famous term flying saucer. Newspapers across the United States ran the story with a mix of fascination and skepticism, and suddenly, the night sky was no longer just a backdrop of stars. It had become a place of possible visitors, a canvas for extraordinary phenomena. Scholars and historians note that this period, just after World War II, was one of heightened anxiety and rapid technological advancement, making the public particularly receptive to the idea that humans were not alone in the universe. Almost immediately, government agencies took notice of these reports. The United States Air Force launched Project Sign in 1948, followed by Project Grudge and later Project Blue Book, official programs aimed at investigating unidentified flying objects. These projects collected thousands of reports from civilians, pilots, and military personnel, ranging from ordinary misidentifications of aircraft and weather balloons to encounters that defied explanation. Researchers analyzing declassified files have observed a recurring pattern. While many sightings were quickly attributed to mundane causes, a small but persistent number remained unexplained. This tension between official dismissal and eyewitness conviction has fueled much of the fascination surrounding UFOs. Reports often include detailed observations of craft movements, descriptions of lights that move in ways no conventional aircraft can, and even accounts of electromagnetic interference or missing time. The meticulous documentation in these files provides both a historical record and a basis for scientific and cultural discussion, grounding modern stories in tangible evidence while leaving room for mystery. Cultural factors have also shaped the way alien encounters are perceived. In the post-war era, the rise of science fiction literature and cinema introduced the public to visions of life beyond Earth. From pulp magazines in the 1930s and 1940s to blockbuster films in the 1970s and 1980s, depictions of extraterrestrials, from friendly visitors to menacing invaders, have influenced both public imagination and eyewitness reports. Psychologists suggest that these cultural narratives may prime individuals to interpret ambiguous stimuli as alien encounters, yet they also reflect genuine curiosity about life beyond our planet. The interplay between culture, perception, and experience creates a rich landscape for understanding why alien sightings continue to captivate. Each generation of sightings reflects not only technological advancements, like radar and night vision equipment, but also shifts in societal concerns, from Cold War anxieties to contemporary debates about space exploration. Eyewitness psychology adds another layer of complexity. People who report encounters often describe sensations of awe, fear, and disorientation, sometimes accompanied by physical symptoms such as increased heart rate, tingling, or temporary paralysis. Researchers studying these accounts note that memory, perception, and expectation all play a role in shaping how an event is experienced and recalled. Yet despite the psychological factors at play, many reports share remarkable similarities across decades and cultures, including detailed descriptions of luminous craft, beings with unusual physical characteristics, and interactions that leave lasting impressions on the witnesses. Historians and ufologists alike argue that this consistency lends credibility to the notion that something unexplained may indeed be occurring, even if its origin remains uncertain. Internationally, sightings have appeared in diverse contexts, from rural farmlands to dense urban areas. In the United Kingdom, reports of mysterious lights over the countryside were catalogued by the Ministry of Defense for decades, with hundreds remaining unexplained even after thorough investigation. In Latin America, particularly Brazil and Mexico, sightings often involve luminous objects that appear to follow people or hover near inhabited areas, generating local folklore that blends modern UFO narratives with centuries-old myths. The global prevalence of such phenomena underscores a shared human fascination with the skies and a collective curiosity about what might lie beyond our immediate perception. These cross-cultural patterns suggest that while context and interpretation vary, the core experience, a sudden encounter with something unknown, resonates universally. The period from the late 1940s to the 1970s was particularly significant, as it established the template for modern UFO reporting. Cases like the Roswell incident in 1947, though widely debated, introduced the concept of government secrecy and alleged cover-ups, adding a layer of intrigue that persists in contemporary accounts. Researchers emphasize that the combination of documented sightings, declassified government files, and the cultural embedding of extraterrestrial narratives creates a fertile environment for the stories we will explore tonight. When we listen to eyewitness accounts, we are not only hearing an individual's experience, We are glimpsing a long history of human engagement with the unknown, filtered through personal perception, societal expectation, and the ever-present desire to understand what lies beyond the familiar. Tonight, as you prepare to drift into a state of calm, consider the continuity of this curiosity. Just as those in the past looked upward with wonder and apprehension, we too can peer into the night sky with both caution and awe. Understanding the historical context of alien encounters allows us to see these stories not merely as isolated incidents, but as part of a broader tapestry, one that encompasses human psychology, cultural imagination, and the persistent lure of the unexplained. By tracing these patterns, we gain insight into why these phenomena continue to inspire fascination, and why the night sky still feels like a place of possibility, mystery, and quiet suspense. In the sections to follow, we will move from this broad historical and cultural framework into specific, carefully documented encounters. Each story will unfold slowly, emphasizing atmosphere, sensory details, and eyewitness experience, while grounding the narrative in credible reports and thoughtful analysis. You will notice the threads that connect these accounts across time and geography, the way fear, wonder, and curiosity intertwine in each encounter, and the subtle ways in which human perception meets the unknown. For now, let your mind linger on the rich history of sightings, the official records and cultural influences, and the countless individuals who have looked up into the night sky and glimpsed something extraordinary. In this quiet, reflective space, we are ready to begin the first of 5 true stories, stepping gently into the mysterious and the unknown. It was a quiet night, the kind of night where the world seems to pause, leaving only the soft whisper of the wind and the occasional rustle of leaves. Somewhere in the rural outskirts of a small town, a family had just settled in for the evening. The sky stretched above them like a vast, dark canvas, dotted with countless stars that twinkled faintly, distant and indifferent. There was a comforting stillness in the air, a sense of solitude that often makes the ordinary seem magnified, every shadow and sound sharper, more alive. In this stillness, the first witness of our story, a middle-aged farmer, stepped outside briefly, perhaps drawn by the cool night air or the desire to check on the livestock. What he would see, however, would be far from ordinary. As he tilted his head to look upward, he noticed a light, pale and steady, hovering in the sky at a distance. At first, it seemed like a star or perhaps a distant airplane reflecting the moonlight. Yet, as he focused, he realized the light moved in ways that no conventional aircraft could. It darted suddenly, changing direction with impossible agility, stopping and hovering again as if aware of his gaze. His heart began to beat faster, not with immediate fear, but with a deep, primal curiosity. Many reports from this era describe similar initial reactions, a mixture of awe and disbelief, the mind struggling to reconcile what it sees with what it knows to be possible. This initial disbelief is crucial in understanding the experience. It allows the observer to remain open, attentive, and fully engaged, capturing details that might otherwise be missed. The farmer was not alone for long. His teenage daughter, who had been peering out the window, joined him in the yard. Together, they watched as the object split into multiple lights, forming geometric patterns that were perfectly synchronized yet seemed entirely unnatural. The movement was precise, almost mechanical, yet it carried an organic quality that suggested intelligence behind the motion. The witnesses reported feeling a strange pressure in the air, a subtle vibration that seemed to resonate deep within the chest. Scientists studying eyewitness accounts have noted these physiological responses repeatedly: chills, tingling sensations, and a sense of time slowing down, all of which contribute to the vividness and lasting impression of the encounter. Curiosity quickly turned to concern as the lights descended slightly, revealing a more tangible form. The object appeared as a disc-shaped craft, metallic and reflective, yet smooth, almost fluid in its construction. It moved with a silent grace, completely devoid of the noise expected from any human-engineered aircraft of the time. The witnesses described an overwhelming feeling that they were being observed, though there was no sound, no direct communication, just an intense awareness of presence. Such encounters, researchers note, often produce a psychological blend of fascination and fear, a recognition that the ordinary boundaries of reality have been breached. The family stood frozen, unable to tear their eyes away, aware that this was something entirely beyond their understanding. After several minutes, the object abruptly accelerated, vanishing into the night sky in a way that seemed to defy all known laws of physics. It disappeared as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving the witnesses staring at the empty sky, hearts racing and minds trying to reconstruct what they had just seen. When they finally regained composure, they attempted to rationalize the experience. Perhaps it had been a misidentified aircraft, a meteor, or a trick of the light. Yet every detail, the way it moved, the patterns it formed, the silence that accompanied it, refused to fit any ordinary explanation. This conflict between what is observed and what is understood forms the core of many UFO encounters. The witness is left suspended between reality and mystery, certainty and doubt. In the following days, the family reported the sighting to local authorities. Police officers recorded the account carefully, though initial skepticism was evident. The local newspaper mentioned unusual lights in the area that night, but could offer no concrete explanation. This pattern is common in historical reports. Eyewitnesses provide detailed narratives, yet official channels often offer mundane explanations, dismissals, or inconclusive statements. Yet the credibility of these reports often lies in the consistency and specificity of the details, as well as the emotional authenticity of the witnesses. Psychologists studying eyewitness testimony have found that when individuals describe events with sensory richness, how the air felt, the sounds, the movement of lights, the accounts often resist simplistic debunking. Historians and ufologists alike have analyzed this particular encounter as part of a broader phenomenon. In rural areas during the mid-20th century, isolated witnesses frequently reported lights that exhibited intelligent movement, and in some cases, craft shapes that defied conventional design. Researchers argue that these reports share remarkable similarities: sudden appearance, unusual flight patterns, silence, and an almost sentient presence. Some suggest atmospheric or astronomical explanations, such as rare meteorological effects or reflections, while others propose experimental aircraft. Yet for many cases, including this one, no conventional explanation fully accounts for the observed behavior. The persistence of such encounters over decades and across geographies lends a weight to the argument that some phenomena remain genuinely unexplained. Cultural influence is another layer that shapes perception and interpretation. By the 1950s, images of disc-shaped craft and flying saucers had permeated newspapers, radio, and early television. It is possible that these cultural images informed the witnesses' descriptions. Yet the precision and specificity of this report suggest that even if cultural priming influenced the narrative, the core experience, the movement, the presence, the physiological response, was deeply personal and highly vivid. This is a critical aspect of understanding alien encounters. Even when imagination or culture shapes interpretation, the eyewitness's experience remains authentic and profound, offering a window into the unknown. As we reflect on this first encounter, it is worth considering the lingering effects on the witnesses. The farmer and his daughter reported heightened awareness of the night sky for months afterward, a subtle tension whenever lights appeared in the distance, and recurring dreams of luminous craft moving in impossible patterns. Such aftereffects are common in credible UFO reports, suggesting that the human mind continues to process the encounter long after the event itself. In a sense, the experience becomes a gentle, persistent echo of the mystery, something that settles in the subconscious, influencing perception, thought, and even sleep. For tonight, as you listen and allow yourself to settle into a state of calm, imagine standing in that quiet yard, the air cool against your skin, the stars glittering overhead, and a silent light moving with impossible grace. Feel the subtle tension of uncertainty, the awe of witnessing something beyond comprehension, and the gentle hum of curiosity that follows such an encounter. This is the balance we will carry through the next stories, a combination of wonder, mystery, and calm reflection, allowing you to explore the unknown while remaining comfortably grounded in the rhythm of the night. In the deep stillness of a late summer night, a young couple was returning home along a country road that twisted and wound between tall fields of wheat. The air was heavy with the scent of earth and the faint sweetness of ripening grain, and the distant chorus of crickets created a soothing backdrop for the journey. The road was dimly lit, and the headlights of their car cast long shadows that danced across the landscape. As they rounded a curve, a sudden glow appeared in the sky ahead, a light unlike any they had seen before. At first it seemed like a shooting star, a fleeting streak across the heavens, but as they slowed the car and gazed upward, the light paused, hovering in midair, impossibly still. The couple felt a strange pull, a quiet fascination mingled with a flicker of apprehension, the kind that occurs when one senses that the ordinary world is being gently peeled back to reveal something extraordinary. The light began to change, expanding into a faintly defined shape that resembled a disk, silver and reflective, but glowing with an inner luminescence. Unlike an airplane, it made no sound, emitted no exhaust, and moved in ways that defied normal aerodynamics. As the couple watched, they noticed smaller lights detaching and moving independently, forming precise geometrical patterns in the night sky before returning to the main body of the craft. The unusual precision of the movements suggested intelligence behind the phenomenon, a factor often noted in similar reports from the 1960s and 1970s, when UFO sightings were carefully cataloged and studied. Researchers have observed that when witnesses perceive controlled movement or apparent intelligent behavior in a craft, it significantly enhances the emotional intensity of the encounter, creating lasting impressions that linger long after the event. The couple parked the car along the roadside, stepping out to get a clearer view. Their senses were heightened, the faint rustle of the wheat, the distant call of a night bird, the subtle vibration in the air that seemed to emanate from the craft itself. Witnesses in such encounters often report physiological reactions, rapid heartbeat, goosebumps, and a tingling sensation in the limbs, all indicative of heightened sensory perception in response to an extraordinary stimulus. They describe a profound awareness that the world as they knew it has shifted, even if only temporarily, allowing a glimpse into something entirely unfamiliar. For the young couple, the mixture of fear and fascination was inescapable. Their minds attempted to rationalize the sight while simultaneously absorbing every detail with acute clarity. Then, something even stranger occurred. A figure appeared at the edge of the light, humanoid in shape but distinctly otherworldly. The being was slender, with elongated limbs and a head that seemed slightly oversized in proportion to its body. Its movements were deliberate, almost purposeful, yet its presence was enigmatic rather than threatening. Witnesses often describe similar beings in reports from around the world, from North America to Europe, consistently noting features such as large, dark eyes and minimal facial expression. Psychologists studying these accounts suggest that such descriptions may arise from archetypal images embedded in human consciousness, yet the consistency across decades and cultures lends a certain weight to their credibility. The couple froze, struck by the simultaneity of fear and awe, the sense that they were encountering a consciousness entirely alien to their own. For several minutes, the figure appeared to study them as much as they studied it, a silent exchange that seemed to bridge worlds without words. The craft, meanwhile, remained suspended, occasionally emitting pulses of light that illuminated the surrounding landscape in surreal, dreamlike flashes. Observers of this era often noted the interplay between light, shadow, and perception, emphasizing how unusual lighting conditions can amplify the otherworldly quality of a sighting. Yet in this case, the witness descriptions were remarkably specific, detailing not only the movement of the craft, but also subtle variations in the figure's posture and gestures, suggesting that their perception was acute, focused, and not easily attributed to optical illusion alone. Eventually, the figure stepped back, and the lights of the craft intensified. In a sudden, fluid motion, the craft ascended, accelerating upward at a speed that left no discernible trail. The witnesses were left staring at an empty sky, hearts pounding and minds grappling with the enormity of what they had seen. In the days and weeks following, both reported vivid dreams in which the craft and its occupant reappeared, sometimes communicating through abstract imagery or subtle sensations rather than words. These recurring experiences are frequently noted in close encounter reports, often blending memory, imagination, and the subconscious in ways that challenge traditional definitions of perception and reality. When they recounted the event to local authorities, the response was cautiously skeptical. Officers documented the report, and meteorologists suggested possible explanations ranging from atmospheric phenomena to rare light refraction. But none could account for the specific patterns, movements, or presence of the humanoid figure. This tension between official rationalization and eyewitness certainty is a hallmark of credible UFO cases. Historians and ufologists studying this period have emphasized that reports involving humanoid figures, precise movement patterns, and physiological effects often resist simple categorization. They represent a point where human experience intersects with genuine mystery, where the mind struggles to integrate what is seen with what is known. Cultural factors undoubtedly influenced the perception of this encounter. By the 1970s, popular media had cemented images of extraterrestrial beings, often with large eyes, small bodies, and enigmatic behavior. While it is possible that these archetypes shaped interpretation, the richness of the couple's account, the sensory details, the timing, and the emotional intensity suggests a deeply authentic experience. Researchers argue that even if cultural priming contributes to narrative structure, the core encounter, the sensation of presence, the impossible movements, and the physiological response, remains a phenomenon worthy of attention and study. The significance of this story lies not only in its immediate strangeness, but also in its psychological and emotional resonance. Witnesses frequently report lingering effects, heightened awareness of the night sky, increased sensitivity to lights and sounds, and sometimes a profound sense of connection to the cosmos. In this case, the couple described a mixture of awe, curiosity, and subtle unease in the weeks that followed. The encounter became a quiet, persistent memory, shaping their perception of the world in ways both gentle and profound. It is this blend of wonder, mystery, and human reflection that allows us, as listeners, to engage with the story calmly, appreciating both the extraordinary experience and the ordinary context in which it occurred. As you listen tonight, allow your mind to picture the road, the rustling wheat, the soft glow of the craft against the deep night sky. Imagine the subtle sensations, the gentle vibration in the air, the interplay of light and shadow, the quiet intensity of witnessing something entirely unknown. Feel the mixture of curiosity and calm, the way your mind absorbs every detail without urgency, and the way your body relaxes into the rhythm of the story. This is the balance we carry through each encounter. Deep intrigue coupled with gentle reflection, allowing the mystery to unfold while maintaining a sense of peaceful awareness. In this way, the story of the young couple is not just a report of unusual phenomena. It is a meditation on perception, consciousness, and the delicate boundary between the known and the unknown. It invites us to consider how humans respond when confronted with something beyond comprehension, and it encourages us to explore that response with both wonder and calm. As you prepare to drift further into sleep, allow yourself to rest in this space of gentle curiosity, where the extraordinary exists not to frighten, but to awaken the mind to the endless possibilities of the universe. In the quiet expanse of a rural countryside, where the horizon stretches endlessly, and the only sounds are the gentle rustling of leaves and the distant lowing of cattle, a single farmhouse sits isolated, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and wild grass, and the sky above is a vast inky canvas sprinkled with countless stars. It is the kind of night where silence dominates, where the ordinary world feels suspended, and even the smallest sound seems amplified. On such a night, a middle-aged farmer and his wife were performing their usual evening routines, tending to chores and checking the fields before settling down. Little did they know that their peaceful night would be interrupted by an experience that would linger in memory long after it had ended. Around 10 o'clock, the farmer stepped outside to inspect a section of the barnyard. He noticed an unusual glow rising from beyond the tree, faint at first, then gradually intensifying. Unlike the steady beams of a searchlight or the soft illumination of a distant town, this light pulsed with an irregular rhythm, shifting in color from white to pale blue, almost as if it were breathing. The phenomenon immediately captured his attention, and as he squinted, he realized the light was moving in ways that defied conventional explanation. It hovered, darted sideways with impossible speed, and seemed to descend toward the far edge of the property, yet without any noise or trace of combustion. This initial observation, calm yet meticulous, would later form the backbone of a credible report that caught the attention of researchers investigating rural sightings in the mid-20th century. His wife, drawn by the strange luminosity, joined him outside. Together, they watched as the object revealed itself more fully. What had seemed like a simple light began to take on a form, a metallic disc-like shape, smooth and reflective, with edges that shimmered against the darkness. Occasionally, smaller orbs separated from the main craft, performing synchronized movements in the air as if testing the environment or surveying the area. Such coordinated motion is a recurring element in rural UFO sightings, noted by historians and ufologists who study patterns across decades. The apparent intelligence behind these movements often produces a unique psychological effect on witnesses, a mixture of fascination, uncertainty, and a subtle, pervasive unease that lingers long after the sighting. As the couple observed, a sudden shift occurred. A figure appeared, standing near the edge of the light. Unlike the humanoid figures reported in some urban sightings, this one was more ambiguous, its silhouette elongated, almost ethereal, with no discernible facial features. It moved slowly, deliberately, and seemed to be aware of their presence, responding subtly to their gaze. Witnesses in rural areas often describe these beings as silent, almost ghost-like, their presence more felt than seen. Psychologists studying these accounts suggest that in isolated environments, the mind may heighten sensory perception, making subtle visual and auditory cues more pronounced. Yet in this case, the farmer and his wife described physical sensations, an inexplicable pressure in the chest, a tingling on the skin, that reinforced the reality of what they were perceiving. These physiological effects are documented in numerous accounts, indicating that even if cognitive processes shape interpretation, there remains a tangible, bodily component to the experience. For several minutes, the scene unfolded in surreal calm. The craft hovered near the tree, occasionally emitting beams of soft, diffused light that swept across the fields. The figure remained at the edge of the glow, moving with deliberate, graceful motions. The couple could feel the intensity of its gaze, though no sound was produced. Such moments of silent observation are a hallmark of many rural UFO reports, creating an atmosphere of tension without overt threat. Historians and researchers note that this quiet intensity often amplifies memory retention, making the encounter vividly remembered for years, even decades, afterward. Eventually, the figure retreated, and the craft slowly ascended into the night sky. It moved with astonishing speed, vanishing from sight almost instantaneously. The couple remained standing in the field, hearts racing, minds struggling to process the extraordinary events they had just witnessed. In the following days, they experienced recurring dreams in which the craft and its occupant reappeared, sometimes moving silently through their home, sometimes hovering above the fields. These recurring experiences are not uncommon in rural sightings and suggest a lingering psychological effect that blends memory, subconscious processing, and emotional resonance. Researchers have noted that the isolation of rural environments can intensify these aftereffects, creating a prolonged period of heightened awareness and subtle anxiety. When the couple reported the sighting to local authorities, the initial response was cautious skepticism. Officers recorded their statements and suggested possible explanations, such as experimental aircraft, meteorological phenomena, or misinterpretation of lights. Yet the specificity of the account, the detailed observations of movement, shape, and behavior, defied conventional categorization. Scholars studying rural UFO reports emphasize that isolated locations often produce some of the most detailed and credible accounts precisely because witnesses are removed from urban distractions and have prolonged, uninterrupted observation of the phenomenon. The combination of isolation, attention to detail, and vivid memory makes rural encounters particularly compelling in the study of unexplained aerial phenomena. Cultural context also plays a role in shaping the perception of these encounters. By the time this sighting occurred, disc-shaped crafts and humanoid beings had been widely represented in newspapers, magazines, and television. While cultural imagery may influence interpretation, the couple's description went beyond simple archetypes, including nuanced details about light behavior, the presence of smaller orbs, and subtle physiological reactions that suggest a genuine, immersive experience. Historians argue that rural sightings like this one provide a unique window into the intersection of human perception, environmental factors, and the persistent presence of unexplained phenomena. This story, like many rural encounters, carries a lingering emotional weight. Witnesses often report a mix of fascination and apprehension in the weeks that follow, a quiet sense of being observed, and a newfound attentiveness to the night sky. In this case, the farmer and his wife described feeling subtly changed, more aware of their surroundings, more attuned to subtle movements of light and shadow. The encounter became a gentle, persistent presence in their consciousness, a reminder of the vastness and mystery of the world beyond the familiar. As you listen tonight, allow your mind to drift into this quiet rural scene. Picture the farmhouse, the open fields, the gentle sway of the wheat in the breeze, and the soft glow of a craft moving silently through the night sky. Imagine the subtle tension in the air, the feeling of being watched without threat, and the mixture of wonder and unease that fills the observer's hearts. Let these sensations wash over you, not as fear, but as calm curiosity, a gentle exploration of the unknown. This balance between intrigue and relaxation is what carries us through each story, allowing the mystery to unfold while maintaining a sense of peaceful reflection. In this way, The Rural Terror is not a story meant to frighten, but to engage the imagination and invite contemplation. It encourages us to consider how humans respond when confronted with something entirely beyond understanding, and how such experiences shape memory, perception, and even emotion. As you continue to drift toward sleep, carry with you the gentle awe of witnessing something inexplicable, the serene tension of the unknown, and the quiet reminder that the universe is far larger, far stranger, and far more mysterious than our everyday lives might suggest. In the early hours of a chilly autumn night, a small group of military personnel was stationed at a remote radar facility nestled in a secluded part of the desert. The facility, surrounded by miles of barren terrain, was quiet except for the soft hum of equipment and the occasional crackle of the radio. The soldiers were accustomed to isolation, to long stretches of uneventful nights punctuated by routine surveillance checks. Yet on this particular evening, something occurred that would challenge not only their understanding, but also the careful protocols and procedures they had been trained to trust. It began as a subtle anomaly on the radar, a blip appearing in the distance, moving erratically in a pattern unlike any conventional aircraft. At first, the operators assumed it was a technical malfunction, a calibration error in the system. But as the minutes passed, the anomaly persisted and began to display behavior that defied all known aviation capabilities. It accelerated rapidly, slowed abruptly, and performed sharp, angular turns that no aircraft of the era could have survived. The operators, trained to remain calm under pressure, found themselves captivated, their professional detachment challenged by the impossible nature of what they were witnessing. Historical analyses of military reports from the mid-20th century reveal that such radar anomalies were often dismissed in official records as unidentified atmospheric phenomena, yet accompanying eyewitness testimony frequently describes visual confirmation of craft, bright lights, and unusual behavior. This intersection of radar evidence and human observation forms one of the most compelling aspects of these government-related encounters. As the object moved closer, soldiers observed a silvery craft hovering silently above the desert floor, its form crisp and metallic against the dark backdrop of the night. Unlike any aircraft in the military inventory, it radiated an aura of intelligence, responding in subtle ways to the presence of the personnel below. Some soldiers described a feeling of being studied, as though the craft itself possessed awareness, a phenomenon noted in other encounters, where witnesses report a conscious interaction rather than random movement. Researchers examining declassified files emphasize that these sensory impressions, pressure changes, a sense of observation, and heightened physiological awareness, are consistent across numerous credible accounts, suggesting a deeply human reaction to extraordinary stimuli rather than fabrication or exaggeration. In the following hours, a series of additional anomalies occurred. Communications equipment experienced interference, compasses spun erratically, and several soldiers reported seeing humanoid silhouettes briefly illuminated by the craft's internal lights. These silhouettes were described as slender, with elongated limbs and disproportionately large heads, echoing the archetypal imagery often associated with extraterrestrial beings. While some skeptics argue that such descriptions may be influenced by cultural expectations or stress-induced hallucinations, the consistency of details across multiple independent witnesses lends credibility to the narrative. Historical researchers have noted that government investigations into these events frequently highlighted the unusual consistency between radar data and human observation, even when official reports attempted to downplay or rationalize the incidents. Following the encounter, higher-level military and government authorities were informed. Declassified documents from this period reveal extensive internal discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena, with some reports noting that such encounters could not be explained by conventional aircraft, atmospheric conditions, or known natural phenomena. The tension between official documentation and public disclosure created an atmosphere of secrecy, one that has persisted in UFO research for decades. Analysts argue that while many encounters were cataloged and quietly dismissed in public statements, internal records indicate that officials treated some sightings with significant concern, prompting further investigation, monitoring, and analysis. This dual narrative between the official dismissal and internal acknowledgement remains one of the defining characteristics of government-related UFO encounters. In addition to technical observations, soldiers reported subtle, personal experiences that underscored the strangeness of the event. Some described sudden feelings of fatigue or disorientation, while others experienced vivid dreams or memories of the craft long after the encounter. Researchers studying military and civilian accounts have found that such aftereffects are common, particularly when the encounter involves close proximity or apparent interaction with intelligent entities. The physiological and psychological impact often persists for months or years, contributing to a complex tapestry of memory, perception, and interpretation that continues to challenge conventional understanding. Media coverage of these events, when it occurred, was cautious and often incomplete. Local newspapers occasionally mentioned unexplained lights or radar anomalies, but rarely connected them to direct eyewitness accounts. The public, unaware of the full scope of incidents, often interpreted reports through the lens of science fiction, speculation, or rumor. In contrast, internal military communications reflect careful observation and meticulous documentation, emphasizing the need for accurate reporting while maintaining operational security. This discrepancy between public narrative and internal record-keeping has fueled decades of intrigue, prompting independent researchers and historians to examine declassified files, interview witnesses, and analyze the interplay between official acknowledgement and secrecy. Cultural and societal context is also essential in understanding this encounter. During the Cold War era, rapid advancements in aviation technology, nuclear research, and radar capabilities created a climate of heightened alertness and anxiety. Witnesses were acutely aware of the potential for national security implications, and government agencies treated unexplained phenomena with a combination of curiosity, caution, and skepticism. Scholars argue that this environment both heightened the perceptual acuity of witnesses and intensified the stakes of reporting, leading to a uniquely rich dataset of encounters that combined technical observation, personal experience, and official documentation. In this way, government-related sightings provide a multi-layered perspective that extends beyond individual narratives to encompass historical, technological, and social dimensions. The significance of this story extends beyond the immediate experience of the soldiers or the craft itself. It illustrates a pattern of encounters where ordinary procedures, expectations, and understanding are disrupted by phenomena that resist conventional explanation. The interplay of radar data, eyewitness testimony, and official response creates a complex narrative in which the unknown interacts with the known, leaving witnesses and researchers alike to grapple with the limits of perception, comprehension, and documentation. For listeners tonight, the story invites contemplation not only of what may exist beyond our world, but also of the ways in which institutions, culture, and personal experience shape the interpretation of mystery. As you imagine this desert facility, the quiet hum of machinery, and the sudden appearance of the luminous craft, allow yourself to notice the subtle sensations of awe and curiosity. Feel the tension of encountering something inexplicable, tempered by the calm observation of the witnesses. Let your mind explore the delicate boundary between the familiar and the unknown, where ordinary life intersects with extraordinary phenomena. This story, like the others, is not meant to frighten, but to gently expand your awareness of the possibilities that exist beyond the familiar contours of everyday life. In this quiet contemplation, the mysteries of the night sky become a source of wonder, inviting reflection, imagination, and a gentle, persistent curiosity that carries you toward sleep. On a quiet night in the outskirts of a modern city, with a hum of distant traffic mingled with the gentle rustling of trees, a young amateur astronomer set up her telescope in the backyard, hoping to catch a glimpse of the constellations scattered across the winter sky. The night was exceptionally clear, the air crisp and cool, and the stars shimmered like distant lanterns, inviting a sense of calm focus. As she adjusted her equipment and scanned the heavens, a faint flicker caught her eye, something subtle yet impossible to ignore. At first, she assumed it was a plane or a satellite, routine objects that regularly cross the sky. But as she continued observing, the flicker revealed itself as something entirely different, an object moving with deliberate, seemingly intelligent motion, altering speed and direction in ways that defied explanation. Unlike conventional aircraft, this craft made no sound. It hovered silently, then accelerated abruptly, darting across the sky in perfect, fluid arcs. The amateur astronomer felt a mixture of awe and disbelief, her heart beating faster as she realized that this was no ordinary observation. Contemporary eyewitnesses often report a similar psychological blend: curiosity tempered with subtle anxiety, fascination mixed with a deep awareness that the phenomenon is outside the scope of normal experience. Modern investigations into UFO sightings note that when observers encounter unusual aerial phenomena equipped with recording devices, the combination of visual evidence and personal perception creates compelling accounts that are difficult to dismiss entirely. She quickly grabbed her smartphone to record the event, capturing a series of high-definition videos that revealed the object as a metallic, disc-shaped craft, glimmering in the faint city lights below. Unlike earlier decades, modern technology, night vision cameras, drones, and smartphones allows witnesses to document phenomena in ways that were impossible for those reporting encounters in the 1940s or 1950s. Yet even with video evidence, ambiguity remains. Analysts reviewing the footage noted that the movement of the craft, the absence of visible propulsion, and its sudden disappearance were not consistent with any known human-engineered aircraft. The astronomer, like many modern witnesses, became both participant and observer, caught between the awe of discovery and the desire to understand what she was seeing. As she continued recording, she noticed subtle changes in the atmosphere, a faint tingling in the skin, a shift in the sensation of space around her, and a strange, almost imperceptible hum that seemed to emanate from the object itself. These physiological responses are consistent with accounts of UFO encounters across decades, suggesting that certain patterns of perception and bodily awareness may accompany such sightings. Modern studies have explored potential explanations, From electromagnetic fields affecting nerve endings to psychological responses triggered by extraordinary visual stimuli. Yet in many cases, including this one, no conventional explanation fully accounts for the combination of visual, auditory, and physical sensations experienced by the witness. For several minutes, the object performed a series of maneuvers, hovering, spinning, and then ascending vertically with astonishing speed, leaving no trace behind. Its movements were so precise, so fluid, that they conveyed an apparent intelligence, a controlled intention rather than randomness. Contemporary witnesses frequently describe such behavior, highlighting a pattern in modern sightings. Objects that move with agility far beyond human technology, respond to observers, and sometimes emit light patterns that seem purposeful. Researchers argue that this consistency across thousands of reports, combined with physical and technological anomalies, suggests that at least some modern encounters merit careful, serious investigation. In the following days, the astronomer shared her footage with an online UFO research community, a global network of enthusiasts, scientists, and investigators who analyze sightings with meticulous care. The videos sparked intense discussion, with experts comparing the object's behavior to both conventional explanations, drones, experimental aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, and to previous well-documented UFO encounters. The discussion highlighted the evolving nature of modern UFO reporting, the integration of technology, global communication, and scientific analysis, combined with the enduring mystery that continues to elude definitive explanation. Contemporary sightings, unlike many historical accounts, are subject to immediate peer review and broader scrutiny, yet they retain the same sense of wonder and disbelief that characterized reports from decades past. The cultural context of modern sightings is also significant. In an era saturated with information, media, and entertainment, people are familiar with representations of extraterrestrial life in movies, video games, and literature. This familiarity shapes expectations, yet the authenticity of modern witnesses often shines through, particularly when multiple sources independently record the same phenomenon. In this case, the astronomer's footage was corroborated by radar logs from local aviation authorities, which recorded an unidentified aerial object moving at unusual speeds along a flight corridor. This convergence of technological observation, human perception, and independent documentation creates one of the most compelling aspects of modern UFO research, a multidimensional perspective that bridges personal experience and objective measurement. As the days passed, the astronomer experienced a lingering sense of connection to the phenomenon. She described dreams in which the object appeared, sometimes close enough to touch, moving silently across surreal landscapes. She also reported a heightened awareness of a night sky, noticing subtle changes in light and motion that she might have previously ignored. These lingering effects mirror historical accounts, suggesting a psychological and emotional continuity across generations of encounters. Whether through dreams, heightened perception, or lasting curiosity, modern witnesses often carry the encounter with them, integrating it into their consciousness in a way that transforms perception and understanding. The modern mystery also highlights the evolving interplay between skepticism and belief. Scientists, journalists, and hobbyists all approach these sightings with varying degrees of doubt and acceptance, yet the persistence of unexplained phenomena challenges easy dismissal. Analysts emphasize that a significant subset of modern sightings, particularly those involving multiple independent observers, radar data, and high-quality visual evidence, defy simple explanations. This balance between investigation, uncertainty, and imagination reflects a broader human desire to understand the unknown while appreciating its persistent mystery. As you imagine this scene tonight, the quiet backyard, the crisp air, the faint glow of a city, and the metallic craft performing impossible maneuvers, allow yourself to settle into the rhythm of observation. Feel the gentle pulse of curiosity, the calm awe of witnessing something beyond comprehension, and the soft tension of mystery that lingers without alarm. This story, like the others, is designed to engage your imagination and reflection, allowing the extraordinary to coexist with calm, relaxed attention. In this quiet contemplation, The modern mystery becomes not a source of fear, but a gentle invitation to explore the possibilities of the universe, the unknown that stretches endlessly above us. Tonight, as you continue to listen, let the image of the craft fade into the dark sky, leaving only a sense of wonder and curiosity. Allow your mind to drift gently along the edges of mystery, observing the interplay between the ordinary and the extraordinary, and embracing the profound sense that the universe is vast, strange, and full of secrets just beyond our understanding. As we move gently from the stories themselves into the broader exploration of these mysterious phenomena, it is natural to wonder why so many people report encounters that seem beyond ordinary explanation. Psychologists, historians, and paranormal researchers have long debated the causes of UFO sightings, close encounters, and the eerie, lingering impressions they leave on witnesses. Some argue that these experiences are primarily psychological in nature, rooted in perception, memory, and the human mind's tendency to fill gaps when faced with the unknown. Others maintain that the consistency and specificity of certain accounts point to genuine phenomena that cannot be fully explained by cognitive processes alone. Tonight, as you drift deeper into relaxation, we will explore these perspectives calmly, thoughtfully, and with a sense of curiosity rather than alarm. One of the most widely discussed psychological explanations is the concept of sleep paralysis and hypnagogic phenomena. Sleep researchers note that when individuals are in the transitional states between wakefulness and sleep, the mind can produce vivid hallucinations that feel remarkably real. Many reported UFO encounters, particularly those occurring at night or in isolated settings, share similarities with these experiences: a sense of presence, observation, and even physical sensations such as pressure on the chest or tingling across the body. While these explanations do not account for all sightings, especially those corroborated by multiple independent observers, radar, or video evidence, they provide insight into why certain individuals perceive extraordinarily real phenomena during periods of heightened suggestibility. Understanding this psychological dimension allows us to appreciate both the authenticity of the experience and the complexity of human perception. Memory and cognitive processes also play a critical role. Psychologists studying eyewitness accounts emphasize that human memory is reconstructive rather than photographic. When someone witnesses an unusual or frightening event, their mind may unconsciously fill in gaps, exaggerate certain elements, or combine fragments from prior knowledge or cultural imagery. This is particularly relevant in societies saturated with depictions of alien beings and UFOs in movies, television, and literature. Researchers have found that even when cultural exposure shapes the narrative, the physiological and emotional responses, the increased heart rate, the goosebumps, the vivid attention to detail, remain authentic, suggesting that witnesses are experiencing something deeply real, even if interpretation varies.